Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please? Welcome to the 2025 Yokohama隼人High School Speech Contest. We are the chairpersons for today's contest. My name is Marin Suzuki.
And my name is Freya Stewart.
And my name is Kanta Kasi.
And my name is Kanta Michi.
There are 16 contestants today.
The first speaker is Ms. Shiogiki Zen. The title of her speech is Grow with Leisure. Ms. Zen, please.
Think about what you usually do when you're on holiday with no plans. In my case, always scroll on my phone or watch movies on Netflix. I know I can use this leisure time for studying and reading books, but I can't stop watching and scrolling because it is easier. And then, before I know it, my holiday is over. In current society, we are surrounded by instant gratification. We are already used to being satisfied without putting in any effort. As soon as we open the internet, a lot of entertainment will be provided immediately. Of course, I don't think it is always wasteful to be satisfied without effort. What I'm worried about is that many people haven't realized the value of leisure yet. You have a great chance when you have nothing to do. It can take you to the next stage and make you a more remarkable person and a dreamer. If you are not too tired, it is a good choice to use your leisure time to grow, instead of just killing time. It is up to you what you want to achieve through your leisure time. You can study for tests and qualifications, and you can pursue what you like, such as games and makeup. The important thing is to do something that is meaningful for you. However, people tend to choose easier options such as scrolling and watching. How should we use our leisure time for self-growth? In fact, you can achieve it by following these simple steps: setting goals, setting deadlines, and making the process enjoyable. First, you should set a goal. In order to achieve something, we need to have specific goals. For example, finding role model or standards would be good. Secondly, you should set a deadline to achieve your goal. If we don't have plans, we will probably neglect our goal. Setting weekly or monthly targets can help with staying on track. Finally, you should enjoy the process of attaining your goal. In order to act for self-growth, it is necessary to create a way which is fun for you. For example, receiving rewards when you achieve weekly target, or recording the history of your effort. I have confidence to say these steps are useful. When I was a third-grade student in junior high school, I had to improve my English skills for an exam. However, I had too many things to do besides that, so I made up my mind to study in my leisure time. I set a goal to improve my 18 scores and decided to achieve it in 3 months. I knew I was a lazy student, so I found a fun way to achieve my goals, such as using English reading apps and recording my scores. In consequence, my English was smoothly improved, and finally, I got a high score. By following these 3 steps, I realized something surprising. That is, doing creative activities for self-growth are much healthier than mindlessly scrolling. Unexpectedly, but fortunately, the 3 months I focused on English sparked my interest to work globally. Now, I'm enjoying my life at ILC and still learning about global understanding. If you are able to grow, the next stage of your life can become clearer. Your life is made by the choices you made in the past. I believe leisure is a chance. Will you use it for self-growth? Will you use that time in easy way and get nothing? Will you use it for self-growth and then find happiness? The choice is yours.
speaker is Mr. Kohei Hosono. The title of his speech is Connecting to Others. Mr. Hosono, please.
Have you ever thought about your connection with other people? I did not care about it so much, and just so connecting to others was just talking to others. It is fun when we are together. It was like a temporary relationship. I also did not think about my connection with other people when I went to Bali for the first time. Especially not as an important thing, but in Bali, there are lots of customs that cherish connecting between people. I learned about an initiative called the Community Garden, led by people in local community. I thought it was an excellent idea because each person works towards the same goals. The care of the garden was all organized by volunteers. Everyone could grow their own crops and share their crops. By doing so, it can cheer up the community and also everyone access to healthy food. I realized connection is an important thing. So I studied in Bali while being mindset of helping, a mindset of connection with people. I asked local people about these customs and initiatives. They told me rather than the task, what is important is mindset of helping. I was impressed by these customs and initiatives because they are working together to create something better. It is like two heads are better than one. Not just the talking part of relationship, but also learning and helping from each other to create more good things for everyone. After trade, I realized connection is important things. Again, I thought that how people meet. If we were not connected through school or club activities, we may never have met. I think you have a family, a mother, a father, a sister, or brothers. After entering high school, my value has changed. My value has changed by meeting and making new friends. Because of them, I can learn a lot of things. Have you ever been surprised what your friends are thinking? Each person has their own thoughts and opinions. Exchanging opinions and thoughts enrich our lives. We should cherish family and friends that are irreplaceable. It is important to cherish the connection. We can learn new values and more grow ourselves. Not only in Bali, but also in Japan. If you talk to your friend, you may make new discoveries.
The third speaker is Ms. Chihiro Tanaka. The title of her speech is I Quit, But I'm Not a Quitter. Ms. Tanaka, please.
I quit. It's not easy to say. In fact, it might be the hardest thing I've ever done. For 4 years, I played baseball. I wasn't great. I wasn't strong. I started in junior high school, which is much later than most. And on top of that, I was the only girl on the team. I had to prove I belonged. There were times I thought even the elementary school kids playing down by the river were better than me. But I was fortunate to have good teammates and teachers, as well as people around me cheering me on. I stuck with it and practiced every day. I got better. I loved every minute of it. By the end of junior high, I had my moment. In my final effort in the junior high school tournament, I hit the best ball of my life. A line drive to left center. That feeling, the sound, the connection, the run, I'll never forget it. Baseball was not just a sport. It was my passion. So why did I quit this past April? It wasn't sudden. Despite my best effort, the pressure of not getting better, the frustration of always lagging behind throwing it away on me. When I thought about baseball, I couldn't even force a smile. My heart just wasn't in it anymore. I struggled with the decision. I worried about how it would affect my relationship with teammates and wondered if I was just running away. It was suffocating. I felt like weeping. Like maybe the team would be better without me. But I told no one. I pushed the pain down, thinking the quitting meant failing. The quitting meant I was weak. I was wrong. It took me a week away from baseball to face the truth. I didn't want to keep going just because I was afraid of quitting. I wanted to stop because I lost something important, joy. And choosing to protect the joy, I realized, takes courage. So I quit. But I'm not a quitter. A quitter gives up on themselves. I didn't. I made a decision, not out of fear, but out of strength. I walked away. I thought I could move forward different direction. I'm looking for a new way to challenge myself, which is why I'm standing in front of you today. Learning English gives me confidence. It's an important for my new passion. Touring and meeting people from different countries. So here's what I wish I knew earlier. It's okay to talk. It's okay to ask for help. When we bottle everything up, our world gets smaller. We feel stuck, alone, hopeless. We all have people who love us, and we have to let them know when we need a little extra love. So to anyone struggling with a decision like mine, let me say this. You can quit something and still be strong. You can be proud of what you've accomplished and choose a new path. You can stop and yet move forward. I quit baseball, but I didn't quit myself. I quit, but I'm not a quitter.
The fourth speaker is Ms. Yotsuba Nakazawa. The title of her speech is Unfair Together. Ms. Nakazawa, please.
Have you ever thought about how some students feel stressed by small sounds? For example, the sound of a school bell, a chair moving, or someone sneezes can be painful for them. Children with such difficulties still need to go to school. Recently, inclusive education has become popular.
It means that students with and without difficulties learn in the same classroom. At first, this sounds very positive. It is said to teach children to respect diversity and to build an equal society. However, I wonder if it is really the best environment for every student. Equality and fairness are not always the same. In Japan, about 8.8% of students in regular classes are said to have developmental disabilities. This means that almost every classroom has at least one such student, but many of them cannot get enough support, and some even stop going to school. Teachers often do not have enough training in special education. As a result, these students may fall behind, feel lonely, or face more stress. There are also effects on classmates and teachers. Other students may want to help their disabled friend but do not know how. This can cause confusion. Sometimes lessons are interrupted, so the class cannot continue smoothly. For teachers, it is also stressful. They may spend too much time with one child, so they cannot pay enough attention to others. Moreover, for some disability students, the classroom itself is stressful. Noise or the busy atmosphere can make them uncomfortable. When teachers and students do not understand disabilities well, even small differences can lead to bullying. In this way, inclusive education without preparation may hurt everyone. On the other hand, the special support classes can sometimes work better. In such case, children can learn at their own pace with less stress. For example, students have one-on-one lessons for shorter time that advance their ability to concentrate. This creates a safer environment. My younger brother has developmental and intellectual disabilities. If he cannot speak well and cannot sit still for long. If he studies in a regular class, he might walk around or make noise, and lesson would stop. But in a support class, the teacher can adjust the lesson, explain simply, and shorten the time. This helps him study, and it also helps other students learn without disturbance. From this, I believe that treating all students in the same is not always fair. Real fairness means giving each child what they need. Some students may not join inclusive education fully, but that does not mean they should separate it completely. For example, a student may study math in another class, but eat lunch with friends or join a homeroom. In this way, the students can still enjoy school life. If schools want to have this inclusive education, they must first prepare. Teachers should learn about disabilities or how to support students. Hiring teachers with special knowledge and giving training are very important. Students also need to learn the difference equals individuality, but difference equals special treatment. If they understand this, they can the classroom will be kinder and bullying will decrease. Inclusive education has beautiful ideas, but also many problems. Before putting all students in the same classroom, schools should prepare enough support and respect each student's needs. The question is not whether we include every student in the same classroom. It's whether we include every student in our vision of success. That is the inclusion that truly matters.
The fifth speaker is Ms. Tamaru. The title of her speech is Your Truth. Ms. Tamaru, please.
What is the thing that you really don't want to be defeated in? If somebody that you're definitely better than defeat you anyway, can you accept it honestly? When I was in junior high, I could not. Now, I regret that. That is why today I want to talk about the importance of being honest. If you aren't honest, you will miss chance to learn. For example, if you pretend to know what your friends are talking about, you won't be able to keep up with the conversation. You won't really learn. However, if you become honest and say something like, "What is that?" you can learn what they're talking about, and over time, a lot more things that you wouldn't have known. When you aren't honest, you lose the chance to learn a lot of things. And also, it is good for your growth to realize what you don't know. When you face something you don't know, see it as a chance to learn. Even so, it is not easy. People can be honest when they realize that there is a gap between their image and reality. This is because they feel that all the efforts they have made so far haven't paid off. That is why sometimes people pretend to be able to do something well. Therefore, I want to give you a chance to grasp the truth of your reality. Please think about what you can do better than others. That's not right. Perhaps it might be your imagination. Let me explain what I mean. For example, there are people who really do housework and those who don't do much. If they are asked, "Are you good at housework?" what do you think they will answer? In my opinion, even the ones who don't do it will answer, "Yeah, sure I am. I just don't do it now." That is because the people who don't do housework don't know how hard it is. So they either say, "I can do it." Or maybe people are asked, "Are you good at taking pictures?" And many people may think, "Just press a shutter." But also, they really should think about things like composition or light adjustments. That's why I said you want to write about the question I asked you. If you make an effort in something, you know how hard it is. So you might not answer, "I can do it well." Then, can you accept this truth? What you have in mind right now is merely your image. Now, you can see the gap between your image and reality. Actually, I could not be honest when I was a junior high school student. I went to a grammar school, then I wanted to be thought of as good at studying. That's why I didn't want to ask teachers any questions. I want you to understand the value of saying, "I'm not sure." I think it is very important, especially young people, because if we don't say so, we can learn a lot of things. Let's be honest. In my case, I could not study as much as I thought I could, so it was impossible to hide the difference between reality and my self-image. So I had to force them together. And reality wouldn't change immediately, so I threw out some pride. Giving up pride can be hard. So instead, I would like you to change your relationship with your ideal image. Ignore your self-image. Instead, concentrate on becoming yourself, your ideal image. Just don't think that you already can do something now, but think that you want to be able to do it. This idea will make you grow. Finally, let me give an example of the positive effect of fixing the self-image to reality gap. Imagine you feel tired for no reason. You may be forcing yourself into always being cheerful. If you accept that reality and stop pushing yourself too hard, you can spend each day feeling good, and you'll be honest with yourself. Start living your reality.
The sixth speaker is Ms. Honoka Aruga. The title of her speech is "The World Revealed in Real Conversations." Ms. Aruga, please.
North Korea. What was the first thing that came to mind when I said that country? Was it positive or negative? Why? Now, what if I said another country, one you know little about, like Pakistan or China? I'm sure you have some kind of preconceived image, and it globally isn't positive. Why do we form opinions about countries we've never visited or we've never met? This question and an encounter with children from a country I have never heard of before made me rethink my responsibilities as a Japanese person. The country was Uganda.
in East Africa. Honestly, I didn't know it existed until junior high school, when I joined an online exchange program with Ugandan students. We shared photos of our schools and asked each other questions. One question surprised me. What do you use for cooking in Japanese school? At first, I didn't understand. For me, using electricity was so normal, I didn't even think about it. But in Uganda, cooking with firewood was natural. The moment opened my eyes. Without actually talking with them, I had never really noticed such a difference, or understood how normal can look so different around the world. But most important, I realized that no matter how different we are, we still have so much in common, and it is important for us to communicate, to truly talk how close we are. These conversations are powerful. They help us overcome prejudices, see new perspectives, and feel connected as a human being. When you partner with someone, even just one, it's much harder to dislike them. So I want to ask you, do you hold prejudices against any countries? Have you ever actually spoken with someone from there? Of course, we must also be mindful when we talk with people from abroad because in that moment, we are representing Japan. Our words and action shape how others see our country. That's why international exchanges is matter. If Japanese and North Korean citizens could truly talk, perhaps neutral prejudices would fade, even if our government don't get along. People can still find common ground. In Japan, many people have little interest in other countries, but taking the first step, talking to just one person, can spark curiosity, breed connections, and bring the world closer.
The seventh speaker is Miss Airi Hirayama. The title of her speech is Together Through Knowledge, Warmth, and Help. Miss Hirayama, please.
Imagine living in a world completely alone. There's no one to teach you best survival, no one to share meals with, no one to wave to or smile at. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? It is impossible to live this way. Today, I would like to talk about how important we are to each other and how human interaction gives us knowledge, warmth, and health. When I was a child, I went to kindergarten. There, I played games, talked with friends, learned many important skills. For example, how to share toys, how to wait my turn, how to make friends. Alone, I could never be learned to these lessons. Later in junior high school, I joined events such as sports festival and music recital. Through this experience, teacher and student plan and work together for many hours. I gained teamwork and communication skills. This shows that education is not only from textbooks or teachers. We gain knowledge through our interaction with other people. Let's talk about worms. Today, AI and robots are used many places. For example, have you seen the cat-faced robot at GAST? I thought it was cute and interesting. But after a while, I realized the service is poor. A robot can deliver food, but cannot deliver worms. Human service is different. When a waitress smiles and says welcome, we immediately feel cared for. When a friend waves or when a teacher greets us, we feel a sense of connection. This is a unique warmth that only people can give. Disney is a great example. At Disney, machines are everywhere, but the most important rule belongs to cast members. They are very great and smart guests. Even though we know the characters are played by people, we enjoyed it again. So people are doing their best to make us happy. Through communication skill comes human machines. Third, health. Have you heard the term social isolation? It means living without much contact with others. That shows that social isolation can increase the risk of death by more than 50%. That's the higher risk than smoking. Why is this? Because when we talk with friends, through together or share our warmth, we feel strong and more positive. Communication helps us stay mentally and community healthy. In conclusion, human interaction gives us knowledge, warmth, and health. AI and robots are without doubt useful. We have grown into the wonderful people. We are became of the people around us. So let us value the communication in our lives. Let us greet one another. Let's talk another and make new friends. So we can live happier, healthier, and warmer lives.
The eighth speaker is Ms. Milia Ishizuka. The title of her speech is More Than Just Words. Ms. Ishizuka, please.
Have you ever read a sentence and heard someone's voice in your head? Maybe it was a friend texting sure, and somehow you knew they were being sarcastic. Or the time when you were reading a book and heard the characters cheering victory. That's the power of words. You're able to sense someone's presence even when they're not there. I remember a time when my mom used to leave notes in the fridge whenever she came home late. She would leave a note that says to heat the food and wash the dishes. The scribbled handwriting instantly reminded me of her, and I could also feel the anger in the wash the dishes part. Even though the note was short, it was able to scare me a little. The mix of anger and care made me realize that words can carry so much meaning at once. They can bring emotion and information. They can bring happiness and sadness. That's what makes words so unique and powerful. Words can be used in the present, but they can also be used through time. Books that were written a long time ago can still be read by people who live centuries apart. For example, the famous play Romeo and Juliet. This play was first written by William Shakespeare 400 years ago, yet it's still read and performed by many people all over the world. This tells us that even if people live in completely different eras, we are still able to share the same thoughts. That's why words are powerful. They connect people who have never met before and inspire them. They hold the history of human thoughts and feelings. Words can be beautiful and brutal. They have the ability to build walls and bridges among people. In junior high, there was once a rumor about two friends in my grade. Someone said that one of them was talking badly about the other behind her back. At first, most people thought it was a joke. But as the rumor spread quickly, the whole class started to believe in the rumor, and some added false rumors to make the story more dramatic. The two girls who had always been together started talking less to each other, and seeing them do that made the others assume that the rumor must have been true. Within a couple of weeks, they started hanging out with people from other groups and barely spoke to each other anymore. What made it worse was that they were friends for a pretty long time, and nobody ever knew if the rumor was real or not. To me, friendship is like this big bridge you build little by little with your friends. But seeing their long-term friendship collapse with rumors made by someone made me realize how dangerous words can be. They can strongly bring people closer, but also tear them apart. In the beginning, I said that words can make us feel someone's presence even when they're not there. That's what makes them so powerful. A note from my mom made me feel cared for and a little scared. And a rumor at school was enough to end a long-term friendship. Words can create connection or build walls, bring joy, and cause pain. In the end, what really matters is not the size or amount of words you give to someone. It's about thinking about what impact those words can leave on them. That's why I believe words are one of the strongest things we carry with us every day. Thank you.
The ninth speaker is Ms. Vino Morikami. The title of her speech is The Power of a Smile. Ms. Morikami, please.
When was the last time you truly laughed from the bottom of your heart? Smiles have the power to lift people's spirits and soften atmosphere. I have personally experienced just how strong power that can be. Back in junior high school, I was a member of the dance club and served the relationship for the competition. Before competition, the atmosphere during practice was always sensitive, pleasure, and nervous. The relationship between club members would also become strained. And things started to feel rough. I realized that this tension was affecting our performance, so I thought we can go on like this from that day on. I made an effort to practice with bright and cheerful smile. I was the only doing it. I greeted everyone with cheerful good morning and encouraged with a smile. I say, don't worry, they made mistakes. At first, I worried that people might think I wasn't taking things seriously or I wasn't too relaxed. But surprisingly, my smile gradually started to spread around me. Our expressions began to soften and slowly started speaking kindly one another again. Our movements became more synced and we eventually gave up our best performance at the competition. We ended up placing first in prefecture and quietly for national level. I was then that I truly felt the power of a smile. A smile is universal language understood all over the world. Even if you don't speak same language, a smile can make you feel safe and warm inside. I'm sure many people experienced that. I was once asked for directions with a smile and used gesture. They smiled back and said thank you. I was truly felt that our hearts connected. In fact, the power of smiling has even been proven scientifically. When we laugh, our brains reduce happiness hormones like serotonin or endorphins, which in other words, smiles have the power to make both our minds and our bodies feel better. There is traditional Japanese proverb that says, 笑う角には福来たる. Good fortune comes through smile. To choose through smile. This isn't just an old saying. I believe it reflects the power of smile, bring happiness and create positive energy. Just like what I experienced in my club, a smile can change someone's mood and atmosphere around them. And smiles are contagious. They spread from one person to the next. So if the people around you seem tense or feel a bit off, try smiling first. I believe that even person's smile can change the atmosphere. A smile is a small act, but sometimes a small smile can create big change and bring happiness. I want to continue treasuring my smile and be someone who spreads smiles to others. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Morikami.
The 10th speaker is Ms. Saki Okubo. The title of her speech is Tool for Kindness. Ms. Okubo, please.
A man asks, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus responds, "What is written in the law?" The man answers, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love your neighbors as yourself." But then comes a deeper question. Who is my neighbor? To answer, Jesus tells a story. A man beaten and left for dead on the road. A priest walks by. A Levite walks by. Both sees the man, but neither stops. Then a Samaritan walks by. He saw the man and moved with compassion. He took him to the hospital and paid for his care. Jesus ends the story with the question, who was the neighbor to the man? The answer is clear. The one who showed mercy. Then Jesus says, go and do likewise. This is a parable of the Good Samaritan from the Christian Bible. This story is not just about kindness. It is about connection. It is about seeing people as fellow human beings. It is about crossing boundaries of race, religion, status, and choosing compassion over convenience. The Samaritan is from another country and has another religion than the man beaten and the man talking to Jesus. But the Samaritan is the one who was the neighbor. I had a similar experience in Canada. Almost everyone was in some religion. Most of them were Christian. Every Sunday they go to the church and have Mass. I went to the church and experienced the Mass too. When I was sitting at the church with my host sister, one man with a kind face came to the church. He was about 40 years old. He sat next to the man that was about 20 years old with a scar on his scary face. They were sitting behind a woman who was carrying a baby. The baby started to cry out loud. Then the two men tried to make the baby laugh. Thanks to them, the baby stopped crying. After the Mass, the two men became friends and they ate breakfast together. This situation is similar to the story that I told you first. The two strangers weren't literally a neighbor of the woman and the baby, but they helped her with compassion. For me, it was a rare scene, but for the locals, this was very usual. I thought religion is mysterious. It has been passed down years and years, and is still an important thing in our culture. People who share a religion live their own different lives, but they have the same belief. They have a connection, and they can be comfortable with each other. There is something we can't see, but we can feel. They become neighbors to each other because they believe in God. I think most of you cannot understand what it's like to believe in God. I can't completely understand it either. But what they learn from God is what we learn too. How to be a human being. Do you help someone if they need help? Aren't you avoiding people because of prejudice? Are you being nice to strangers? If I were to answer, I would say no. I could be nice to strangers when I'm feeling good, but that is not every time. I think you guys are the same too. We are humans, so we can't act nice every day. But if all humans were nice every day, the world will be better for us all. There will be no war. To get closer to that world, we have to act like we already know we should. One tool for this is religion. People who believe in God think that they are always seen by God, so they behave well. For me, my tool is to get praised. If I do something good, I tell it to my mom. The tool could be anything. Every person has some tool that can make them closer to a nice person. So, what is your tool? What is making you a nicer person?
Thank you, Ms. Okubo.
The 11th speaker is Ms. Nadia Saito. The title of her speech is Breaking the Chains of Racism. Ms. Saito, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Nadia Saito.
Today I'm gonna make a speech about. I would like to talk about an important issue that affects many people around the world: racism, also known as discrimination. Racism is the unfair treatment of people because of their skin color, background, or culture. It can be found at schools, workplaces, and even in daily lives. Sometimes people don't even realize they're being racist, but even small actions could hurt others deeply. I also have been through many hurtful experiences. For example, when I went to a shopping mall, a security guard was sticking around me to check if I wasn't stealing something or not, just because I looked different than the others. Or, when I entered a kindergarten and elementary school, many kids were talking ill of me. I was very sad at the time. Why does even racism exist? Often it's because of fear, ignorance, or stereotypes. People may believe things about others that simply aren't true, and by staying silent about this, we allow it to continue. Ignoring someone's hurtful comments about other people only allows that attitude to continue. We must remember that nobody is born hating, so we should help others. Remember what is it like to be respectful. Hate is something we learn, and just like how we can learn hate, we can learn respect, kindness, and understanding. Teaching people how to be empathetic is very important. I believe the topics like discrimination and racism should be discussed at school in Japan to help students see through other people's eyes. Students should learn that anybody, no matter their race, deserves the same rights and opportunities. The color of our skin does not define our character, our dreams, or our abilities. This education will be a powerful tool in fighting discrimination. We're all human, and differences should be celebrated, not feared. If you have experience of racism or discrimination in the past, know that you're not alone. Though it may be difficult to raise your voice, but let's hold hands, stand up against racism together. Let us all, every one of us, speak out when we see unfairness. Let's listen, learn, and treat each other with respect, and show them how good it can feel to be nice to others. Our voice may seem small, but together we can make differences. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Sato.
The 12th speaker is Ms. Yuhan Seki. The title of her speech is The Power of One Small Step. Ms. Seki, please.
Have you ever wondered if something small, just one action can change the world? I used to tell myself that it probably could not do anything. I wondered what I could really do. But that changed when I did a cultural exchange program in Bali in March. It was my first time in Southeast Asia. I expected clear blue skies, friendly people, and beautiful beaches. And I saw all of that, but I also saw something I had not expected. Something that changed me. One morning after sunrise, I went for a quiet walk on the beach. The sand was still cool, the waves were gentle, the world felt peaceful. But when I looked down, I froze. There was plastic trash everywhere. Bottles, wrappers, broken shoes, even a toothbrush. I stood there for a while, just staring. Back in Japan, I have seen trash in parks on the street. But I always thought that even if I pick it up, it wouldn't really change anything. But that morning in Bali, I felt something different. Without thinking, I bent down and picked up one plastic bottle, then another and another. I didn't have gloves. I didn't even have a trash bag. But I had my hands, and I had time. That was enough. When I got back to the hotel, I asked my teacher if I could pick up trash during my morning walk every day. She smiled and assured me that I could, and that the hotel staff might lend me some tongs. So I asked them, and they handed me some tongs with a smile. From the next morning, I began picking up trash every day. At first, I was alone. The next day, my teacher joined me, and we collected a small amount of garbage in a large trash bag. The day after that, one of my classmates came along and said he would help because he was bored. And we were able to pick up a bit more. Still not much, but something was starting. Day by day, we kept going. It became my daily routine. Wake up, walk to the beach, and clean what I could. I didn't expect the world to change, but something inside me was changing. A few days later, I stood in front of other students and said I had been picking up trash on the beach every day, and anyone that wanted to join were welcome too. That was all I said. No one said a word. I looked around, hoping to see someone nod or smile. But all I saw were uninterested faces. I was embarrassed. I felt like my words didn't matter. But I didn't give up. The next day, I asked to speak again. This time, I told them about a local person I met while picking up trash. He saw me picking up trash, walked over, and asked if he could help too. I still remember his words. He didn't know who I was, but when he bent down and picked one bottle beside me, I felt like he understood. And I realized my small action may have reached someone. After I told that story to my classmates, something changed. The people started listening more closely. Later that day, a few students came out to me and said they wanted to join the next day. And they did. The next morning, the beach looked different. Not because trash was gone, but because something else was there. More hands, more hearts, and more hope. Every day, we filled more trash bags. Slowly, the beach began to look cleaner. That's when I learned that even doing something tiny, like picking up one bottle, can start something much bigger. It may start quietly, but it can change you, and it can inspire others, and together, it can grow into something much, much bigger. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
The 13th speaker is Mr. Tsubasa Ochiai. The title of his speech is What Do You Do with the Food in Front of You? Mr. Ochiai, please.
Do you like eating? One more question. Do you ever leave food on your plate? For example, you may have eaten too many snacks and not wanted to eat dinner, or you may have taken too much at buffet and felt hunger. What do you do with leftovers? Maybe you get a takeaway meal, but some sometimes you have to throw it away. What a waste! I have come to believe that awareness of mottai-nai has been diminishing recently. But let's go back to food for now. Use your imagination for a minute. You are a restaurant ingredient. The chef cuts the skin, edges, etc. You are served to the customer. They look at you and say, never mind, and then you are thrown away. How did you feel? Usually, food waste is food thrown away in the bundle of burnable garbage. In Yokohama City, where High School is located, about 85,000 tons of food is thrown away in a year, which is about 36% of all burnable garbage. As I mentioned at the beginning, nearly half of the food is thrown away as leftover food. We throw away food half finished because it's not delicious, or uneaten because it's terrible. Or maybe even worse, our old-fashioned culture turns over the dinner table, ruining it all. So what can we do? Leftovers and untouched food make up a large portion of our food loss. So the answer seems simple. Doesn't it? Eat. It sounds small, but once everyone's feelings are in the common direction, and once we start working towards a common goal, the results will improve day by day. There are three major situations in which we can fight food loss. The three are buying ingredients, cooking, and eating. When buying, it is incredibly common to buy those with furthest expiration date. If you observe people at the supermarket, you can see people searching for the furthest expiration date. Even though many people pass over the items with further expiration. So, even we can save them from food loss by buying them. Sometimes we can even get a discount. Next, cooking. Accessible removal is the biggest challenge. A home chef might cut off the part of the food just because of how they look. Like the brown part of a banana, but they're still good. Or even worse, they might throw away the whole thing. So what should we do? Wash vegetables and other food well, and cut off the minimum amount needed. This would be ideal, but for us, the ideal is not fulfilled. We have the habit of cutting deeply. And I already talked about eating. How much food would we save if we could eliminate food loss? Yokohama City's food loss is 85,000 tons or 23 kilograms per person per year. That's enough for 230 onigiri. If they are 150 yen each, that's 34,500 yen. If we were 70 years old, those 70 years could have saved 3,910 onigiri, and that's 586,500 yen. It's a dream come true, isn't it? In fact, our solution to food loss look easy. For us, it's one product at a time. We only have to think, I can place a meal. But you also have convenience stores, supermarket, and various other places that are quietly making effort. Behind the scenes, the effort of fathers, mothers, producers, shopkeepers, and many other people are hidden. The more food we use, the less food we lose.
The 14th speaker is Miss Fele Aoki. The title of her speech is My Success. Miss Aoki, please.
Today, I'd like to talk about the year I worked hardest. Last year, I took the high school entrance exam. The Japanese high school entrance exam is very tough, and I worked all the year to pass it. In the third year of junior high school, I had to think about my future career path. Back then, I wanted to take a big challenge, so I decided to take the entrance exam. To do so, I had decided which high school I want to go to. I was looking for the high school and found a very good one. At that time, I made up my mind that I would definitely to go this high school. But I was not very smart and hated studying. However, the high school was very high level, many times harder than I was that time, and it was almost impossible to improve my academic skills in the 1 year. But for some reason, my curiosity got better on me. I wanted to give it a try. I knew if I succeeded, I would be really proud of myself. To be honest, at first time I thought I would give up very soon. However, I kept trying until the end. Even it was my birthday or New Year's, I did my best. But that trajectory was harder than I thought. I spent a ton of time every day studying, which I was not good at. But some people say to me, you should give up on that level. It hurt me a lot, but I soon forgot that. My friend allowed me to play, so I was very envious of them. Finally, on the day of exam, I was very anxious, but I believed in myself and my work. After the exam was over, I thought I had done my best so far at that time. On the day of results were announced, unfortunately, it was a failure. However, I had a more positive emotion than negative one. I didn't feel disappointed by the result. On the contrary, I thought it was good thing because I could be proud of myself for having worked so hard, even if it was a failure. I don't regret this challenge at all, and I'm grateful for the choice I made in the past. What I want to say here is that it's important to jump anything you want to do without fear of failure and live your life or being yourself. Taking challenge means fear is inevitable, but I think it is much cooler than repeatedly doing same things without trying anything new. What I want to really think about is this. Do you really not regret your choice? Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. The 50th speaker is Ms. Sarah Wakame. The title of her speech is The Butterfly Effect. Ms. Wakame, please.
tell that something as tiny as a butterfly could change the future. Thus the idea a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil could eventually cause a tornado in Texas. Even the actions that you think are not big may be the events that makes big impression on others. This is called the butterfly effect. When I was in elementary school, my mom and dad were both working, so they don't want me to stay at home alone. But it was very hard to find a gakudo that would take me, because it was already too late in the year. But by chance, my mother met her old friend who happened to be at the hospital at the same time as her. She and my mother were chatting, and my mother told her about her troubles finding an after-school program. Her friends recommended an English after-school program. The program had a kindergarten, and they were raised to learn English on a daily basis. When I entered the school in April, there was a strict rule that we were banned from speaking Japanese for May, and only English was spoken. But at the time, I couldn't even count the numbers in English, and because of this rule, I went there crying every day. At the time, I was not interested in English at all, and it was just pain to go there. I was envious that other kids were outside playing with their friends while I stuck learning English. However, if my mother's friends were at the hospital at the time, I wouldn't have had a chance to attend the English after-school program, and might not have it here now. I still don't think I like English very much, and although my English is not perfect enough, I want to keep improving. I was able to enter the ISD and go to Canada on exchange because I started learning English at that gakudo. This was the experience that made me aware of the butterfly effect. It is an important thing that made me realize that small everyday actions are also important to me. But the butterfly effect doesn't always lead to good things. In Ray Bradbury's short story, A Sound of Thunder, a man travels back in time to hunt dinosaurs. He accidentally crushes a butterfly. When he returns to the future, the entire world has changed. One tiny mistake led to a future full of fear and loss. One line stood out the most in the story, where Bradbury's main character says, "Killing one butterfly couldn't be that important, could it?" This powerful image reminds us, even the smallest actions person might think are harmless can reap enormous unexpected consequences. The story of this man's time travel and my experience are completely different. In other words, they are good and bad side to the butterfly effect, and it is the smallest detail that determines which side they will be on. In Japanese, we don't have exactly the same word as the butterfly effect, but I think the similar Japanese word is ichigo-ichie can take same meaning with this. This word also means treasure being encountered, for it will never recur. In fact, many cultures have similar ideas, and they all remind us that even the smallest actions or meetings can create big changes in the future. You might think it's a small thing for you to listen to speeches today, but I hope by listening to my speech, my speech will affect some of you. I wouldn't be making this speech if not for the experiences I have so far. This experience has been hard. I wouldn't have been able to make this speech without you two listening. Your actions have had a consequence on me. For now, I don't know if this moment will be good or bad. Only time will tell. I hope by listening to my speech, I have an impact on your life, and that you will go forward thinking about your actions, big and small. You never know. Something inconsequential to you may have a big effect on others around you, just like the flutter of a butterfly's wings.
The 16th speaker is Miss Felicia Lee. The title of her speech is Concealer. Miss Lin, please.
When I was a little kid, I used to go to a normal Japanese elementary school. When I started there, アメリカ人のくせになんで日本にいるの？日本語喋れんの？ Everyone treated me like I was a freak. Even though I had only enrolled in a local elementary school and hadn't done anything to stand out, many other kids all called me a gaijin or a hafu. When I was in the 4th grade and taking a math class, my teacher, who was an old man, stared at me and suddenly started saying, "A long time ago, America dropped an atomic bomb on Japan and everything exploded. America is a horrible country." He often told things that happened during World War II. He always stared at me when he told these stories. It was shocking. I was so sad, and I lost friends because of the stories he told. It is one thing when kids tease you, but this was an adult, a teacher. He was an old man, but he actually was not old enough to have experienced the war. And I was 10. Neither of us were even born during the war. And this was the math class. 国に帰れ. After math class, everyone yelled at me. I couldn't understand. I was born in Japan and raised in Japan. Japan is my country. But one of my parents is American. Every single day, when I went to school, kids came up to me and said mean things. At first, I was still young, so I tried not to worry too much about it. But as the years went by, I started to care about what other people thought about me. So, I concealed the American side of my identity. At school, I behaved like everyone else and imitated the gestures of people around me. I stopped speaking English all outside of my home. I kept telling myself that if I just pretended to behave like someone I was not, I would stand out. So I tried to be as invisible as possible and not be seen by anyone. But that strategy didn't work either. And I just lost my sense of self. As the time passed and I reached the age where I was about to take the high school entrance exam, I felt lost. I didn't know what I was good at, what I enjoyed, or which school I wanted to go. One day, I happened to see a pamphlet for an international language program. The photos showed classes being taught in English. Everyone looked confident, happy, and doing what they loved. At the moment, something inside me clicked. This is it, and I decided to apply. My life has changed completely. After a long journey, I discovered where I belonged. I was touched by the fact that people from different backgrounds all recognize and respect each other. And above all, I was surrounded by English. I felt like I had recovered my true self and accepted the part of me that I had locked away as an American. Now, I am able to express myself honestly and just be myself. There's one important message that I want to convey to you all. What once made you suffer may one day make you shine. The pain you had in the past can become your strength. People try to make me ashamed of Americans' part of myself. But actually, it is what makes me special. No matter how scared you are to reveal your true self, you should know that the things you conceal inside are the very things that will make you shine. Thank you.